Welcome, everyone, to our first podcast. My name is John McKenna, and this is
Adam Kreutinger.
Welcome to Compass of Kindness. This is our first podcast, and what we want to try to emphasize with Compass of Kindness is kindness, and that kindness is a journey. Kindness is aspirational, but kindness has to be intentional. We want everyone out there to get a message of kindness and spread a message of kindness.
Exactly. So many people see it as a destination, like, I'll get there. No, it's a journey. It's something you're always working on. And even if you think you get there, you're still working on it. It's not something you grab a hold of and just hold on to forever.
Exactly. And on your journey, there's going to be setbacks, right? It's not this. A journey to kindness isn't just a linear journey to, success. It's a constant, ongoing journey. And there'll be setbacks, and there'll be times where you feel, oh my gosh, I wanted to be kind, but today I just had this episode where I was not so kind to somebody, and I feel bad about it. And the best thing you can do when something like that happens is just start right back on your journey and keep trying to be kind and polite as possible to as many people as you possibly can. Knowing and understanding that nobody is perfect. Mm-hmm. Everybody's journey is going to be different. But the important thing is that each day when we get up and we get this wonderful opportunity to have this day ahead of us, that we embrace this opportunity to go out and treat others the way we'd like to be treated and pay kindness forward with every little act that we can. Because that's another thing with kindness that Adam and I have talked about. It's not the big things that always matter. It's the small little things that make a big difference in people's lives.
The authenticity of it, right? So I would say that's a lot of our mission with this podcast. And throughout future episodes, we're going to be talking to other difference makers that we've encountered in our lives and kind of seeing how they do what they do, how they became the way that they are, and hopefully as an audience and even as people on the podcast ourselves, learn something from them to just promote kindness and authenticity, because I think that's a good way to help make an effect on the world, or at least our local community.
Adam and I had the privilege to work together, when I was a principal in the school and Adam was my art teacher, and we connected right away. And one of the things that we talked about was how and which ways can we go out and just be nice and kind and good to people and spread kindness. And one of the things that we saw was every little thing we did, to whether it was our students, the staff that we worked with, the parents that we worked with, the community members that we worked with, was that kindness was infectious. And we could be the ones that created this positivity. And when we started it, it would go and spread to others. And we saw that there was power in acts of kindness. Mm-hmm. But there was also power in when people aren't nice either. You can either spread negativity or positivity. And what we chose to do was make sure that every day that we're intentional with our acts of kindness towards others.
And how do you feel like you did that as a principal? I can think of some examples for you, too, as being one of the teachers in your school. But
I think one of the first things that always hit me was the idea of intentionality. And that every interaction, every single time we interact with somebody, we have the opportunity to spread even an ounce of kindness. A smile on your face sends a lot. Knowing somebody's name and saying, hi, Adam.
Yep.
It's good to see you today. I could walk right by him in the hall. Mm-hmm. Or I could say, hey, how are you today? You look great. Or, well, what do you got planned with the kids today? And showing a personal interest in someone and the power of knowing their name. I found was something that meant so much to others. And the simple things as a smile. I have students that have come up to me years after, and I don't even remember some of these things, but they'd say, oh, Dr. McKenna, you used to know my name, and you would always say hi to me in the hallway. And I'd say, oh, yeah, I try to know all the kids' names. I never realized how powerful that was.
Yeah,
until
and
they came up years
even
later.
Just thinking about in a position as principal, at least from my perspective, because I've never been a principal, only a teacher, it's got to be a little bit harder to get to know everyone's name because, you don't have that direct interaction with them, in the classroom every single day. It's much more passive. Would you agree with that? Or
yes.
How did you get to know all these kids' names?
Well, I think it comes down to the word intentionality again. I made it a goal. And I think that those are the things that it seemed like at first it seems an intimidating goal because there might be, 700 kids in a school. maybe even 1,000 sometimes in a school, or more if you're in a high school. I know I was a dean of students in a high school once that had about 1,500 kids. So getting to know all their names sometimes can be intimidating, but you know how you do it? One student at a time.
Yes, that's right. And to just try. Again, like you said, have that goal. One thing I remember that I'll never forget, and something that I'm sure the kids remember, is I saw a class walking down the hallway, and I was walking next to them, and you just ran up to them with a lot of energy. They were all nice and neat and aligned, and I'm not sure if the teacher maybe fully appreciated. Like, I just got them settled, and then you started singing to them the what is it called? The
school song.
The school song, exactly.
School song.
And just pumping up these kids, making them excited to be at school. And I think that's something that is missing from a lot of schools that I've experienced. Just really, yes, they need to learn, and yes, we need to get them their education, but one thing I find, students learn best when they're happy, feel safe, and obviously full, which is part of that too. So I feel like those are the three kind of key components to creating like a wonderful school atmosphere. Because you can't learn if you're hungry or if you don't feel safe, right?
And you gotta let kids know that you care about them. And that comes with every little act. And teachers are so powerful. And Adam, you were such a powerful force because, when kids go into your class and you'd get to know each one of them. And I think one of the things that's so powerful that a good teacher does is they find the unique and individual strengths and those special things that each person brings. And you meet that child and even adults where they are. Just, we did a puppet today, and you met me where I was and helped me create a puppet, even though I'm not a great puppet maker, but you met me where I was and helped me to grow where I was. And that's what great teachers do. They find people where they are and then help support them so they can become all that they can become. Yeah. And that's what a great teacher does. And that's why I hope all of us can be great teachers. No matter what our line of life is, if we're a teacher and we're out there to help and support other people, it's all, to me, about individualization.
I couldn't agree more. And I think an easier way to get there, too, is to really try to put yourself in your students' shoes. One thing that had surprised me that I realized is sometimes some kids thought that I didn't like them because they thought they weren't a good artist. Like, I'm not good at, Mr. Kreutinger doesn't like me because I'm not a good artist. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, like, you're not supposed to necessarily be a great artist. You come here to learn.
Right.
That's why, I'm not a product-based art teacher. I'm a process-based art teacher. I don't put any value on the finished work for the kids because they're not proud of it. Because also, whether or not it's good is up to the interpretation of the viewer. What they think is bad, someone else could think is great, right?
It's all about the unique and special talents and skills that all of us have.
And just trying.
Yep.
Right.
And giving it your best shot, and knowing that sometimes that creative piece that's inside of you is exactly what the world needs.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the norm. It's not what it doesn't look like other things from other people, but that's the stuff that makes the world a better place. When you release that creative energy inside each person and that wonderfulness that all of us have inside, when that fear is taken away and we're able to express ourselves, with the true, authentic selves that we're all looking for, that's what unleashes this power of the individual. And it's wonderful to see. So I know that you and I, in our interactions with others, that's what we try to do, is we try to bring out the best in other people because we know that that's how you be a difference maker and make the world a better place.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think for this first episode, too, we should probably keep it as short as possible so that we can get on to our more formal interviews as soon as possible. So we just wanted people to get an idea of what this is going to be about. But before we go, I do want to ask you this final question, John.
Sure.
Can you tell us a brief story about a time someone was kind to you that you will never forget?
Oh, my goodness.
And how did it make you feel?
There's so many stories that I could tell, but I'll just share one personal one. And this was, from my father. So I was very fortunate to grow up in a home that had very supportive parents. So, and it brings me back because it was at this time of year, many, many years ago when I was still in college. And I still remember coming home one day from college. I went to the University of Buffalo. And as I was coming home for some reason, my driveway was very slippery. It was very slippery. And as a young driver, I wasn't, let's say, always as cautious as I should have been, or didn't understand how slippery things could be. So I pull into my own driveway and drive right through my own garage door.
Oh my God.
It makes me laugh to think about it now. But
Not at the time, I'm sure.
I still remember that I was mortified that I did this, and I thought for sure I'm getting in some pretty big trouble, for this, because it just seemed like a pretty dumb thing to do. So sure enough, I still remember sitting there with my head against the wheel and thinking, oh my gosh, my dad's going to kill me. Well, my dad comes out, and wouldn't you know it, I think, oh my God, I get out of the car, I said, I'm just so sorry. And I still remember to this day, he puts his arm around me and he starts to laugh and says, don't worry, that's okay. He starts to tell me about things that he had done when he was young, about accidents that he got in and mistakes that he made. And we sat in that driveway and we laughed and we cried. And I still remember thinking, wow, I thought this was going to be one of the worst moments of my life, that I was going to get in this horrible trouble for doing something that was clearly my fault. And instead, it ended up being this wonderful bonding moment where I got to know my father in a whole different way, but also it always made me think, that's when I needed caring, empathy, and kindness the most. I didn't need to be raked over the coals at that moment, because I knew very well that I made a mistake. And he realized that too. Yeah. And he knew that what I needed at that moment was not to be, reprimanded and, as they say, raked over the coals, but I needed some kindness, empathy, and compassion. And it's one of those things that every time I see somebody now do something that is like a mistake, and you see that you're genuinely sorry for it, I want to be that person that helps to put that arm around them and say, boy, oh boy, wait till you see the mistakes that I made. And you know what? We're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. And in fact, that's the stuff that helps you to be a blessing to others.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, I have two that I want to mention. One very briefly, but actually, my main one is a little bit similar to yours, but I didn't go through a garage door. I remember I was a little kid. We must have been going to a Thanksgiving party at my grandparents', maybe a Christmas party, and my mom had me. I must have been in fourth grade, third grade, something like that. My mom had me hold the pie that she made. I'm holding it in my lap, and something about my family. I'm a maker. I like doing experiments. My dad was always scientifically minded. And one thing I was doing with that pie, it was a science experiment that I didn't even realize was a science experiment. I had it, and I was flipping it around, and it was staying in there because of the centripetal force, because I was doing it fast.
Right.
And I realized, hey, it's sticking. And then I wanted to take it a little further. How long would it stick? So I'd hold it upside down, 1, 2, 3, and then go back down. Oh, okay, 1, 2, I got to 3. Hold it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, go down. Hold it up, and then the one time the pie fell in my lap. It just completely fell in my lap. And my mom came out and she made that pie. And it was for the party, for everyone. So on different levels, destroying something that my mom made. And, destroying something that the whole family was going to enjoy together for the holiday. And then my mom asked, what happened? I'm and as a kid, I went to the naughty thing. I fibbed. I said, it jumped. And my mom, she just laughed because she knows the pie didn't jump. Pies don't jump. But, but she was very kind with me, and she, understood. And she's just go inside. I was crying and crying. I was I wanted to eat it too, Mom. I was even upset that I wanted the pie. She's just go change your pants. It's okay. But again, the same kind of a thing. I was given empathy instead of, she very well could have grounded me, scolded me, something like that. But that's part of how I was raised. So
those are the moments of opportunity that we have to show kindness, caring, and empathy. It's when these things happen that look like they could be disasters in some ways, but they're really moments of opportunity to do kindness, caring, and to spread, the good things in this world that make the world a better place. And think about it. Those stories that Adam and I just shared, for me, that happened, I mean, that happened about like 40 years ago. I still
Mm-hmm.
remember it clear as a bell. That happened when you were just a kid.
Oh, yeah.
But it's powerful. Those are the stories that leave an impression on us. The other side of the coin is also true. If in those moments of call it crisis, if let's say negativity is shown and people are, harsh and mean, that also is an indelible mark that gets left on people. And we see too that what we experience is what we end up sharing with others so often.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're very happy that we had these great experiences with kindness, caring, and empathy. And that's why we want to pass it along, because we believe that the more we spread, the more it exponentially will travel.
And it kind of
towards
connects to what
others.
we said first, is kindness is a journey, not a destination, because like it's easy to go to what your first instinct would have been, which would have been to be negative,
Right.
our parents, right? But, it takes, the second, thought of like, okay, I'm not going to do what I could do in this situation. I'm going to keep it positive, make it a teachable moment. But I also want to say that other thing that I was going to say too is my second story I was going to say is my whole cancer experience. Like when I went public with that I was diagnosed with brain cancer, I was overwhelmed by how much support I got from the community, from my school, from extended family, just people in the community. And it was remarkable. Like it showed me that I was loved in a way that I didn't even realize I was. And that coming together of people, and when I thought things that I was doing was relatively insignificant, was quite an eye-opening learning experience, and humbled me in a big way.
You are a true role model of positivity, and your impact in this community is incredible. And I know every student that's had you as a teacher, you are the teacher that they always will remember. And again, I think of when we worked together, all those little acts of kindness that you did to each individual person compounded to where the whole community knew and understood who you were and what you were. And when you talk about your why, it comes across so clear. And your sharing your journey shows your courage, and there's a lot more journey to go.
Oh, yes, there is.
There's a lot more journey, my friend.
And there's a lot more podcast
That's
episodes
right.
to come, too. So thanks so much for listening to Compass of Kindness.
Yep, we look forward to having you part of our podcast in the future, and we look forward to hearing from you. If you have some stories of kindness that you'd like to share with us, we would love to have you part of our podcast as well, because one of the things we're going to do is we're going to invite guests on who want to share their personal stories of kindness, caring, and compassion. And we know that a lot of you out there have some great stories that you'd like to share with us as well. So be thinking about ways that you want to share and contact us. And maybe that you could be a part of our podcast as well. And you can help us.
Comment down below.
That's right.
All right.
You can help us make this world a kinder and better place.
Thank you.
Thank you.